Hello, and welcome into another episode of the PHNX Suns podcast brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and leave us a 5-star review.
Did you just stumble on that?
I said, I don't think so.
Oh,
Did
it sounded like he was. It sounded like you were like, I was like, what?
Well, there's a good possibility I just slur all the words together today because it's
Been
Wednesday.
at 4 Peaks already?
Not? Maybe. Maybe. I'm Lindsay Smith. That's Saul Bookman. That's Espo. Gerald Bourget is on vacation for the rest of the week. He'll be back with us on Monday. But he has some great content that came out today, and I think he's going to actually be putting out content maybe a little bit later this week too.
Who knows?
Knowing Gerald, that'll probably happen, so keep an eye out over at gophnx.com for all of that. But if a trade happens between now and Monday, just know it was Gerald's fault for leaving town.
Yes, perfect.
Well, good. He should go out of town more often.
I know, right?
He should have been gone all summer, so they did something.
Well, didn't the whole DA thing happen when Gerald was on vacation again?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's perfect. Basically, we just need to send Gerald on vacation whenever we need the Suns to move things along.
Exactly.
Eli, I got my bowl of uppers ready for the show. Glad, Eli.
Hey-o. Welcome to the party. All right, let's talk a little bit about Chris Paul because we got some interesting news or insight into kind of his role this year that
Monty
him and Monty
Nuggets.
Williams have plans on. So Monty spoke at practice yesterday about how great athletes adapt to suit their team and sacrifice to get to that ultimate prize. And that is where Chris Paul is at right now.
I think the great ones, if they want something they've never had, I think they figured out a long time ago, but they implement it maybe later in their career that this is what I got to do if I want to get something that I've never gotten before. I mean, if you think about Peyton Manning, like when he was in Denver, he probably didn't throw any pass more than 20 yards the whole year long. He was checking down like every play. And a lot of it was because he couldn't with his next situation, so he had to adapt. I just think great ones figure it out, that they have to sacrifice to get something that they've never gotten before. And I think Chris is in that mode.
My question is which Peyton Manning from the Broncos do you want? Do you want first-year Peyton when he was awesome and he threw like 56 touchdowns? Or do you want second-year Peyton where he was barely a function of his old self because of his neck injuries and barely got the Broncos to the Super Bowl, largely based on that defense? Like, careful what you wish for.
I took this as confirmation. Chris Paul has a neck injury and is only going to be throwing short assist passes this year, right? Like, I don't understand the comparison. Oh, well, guys learn later in their career. Yeah, Peyton had already won a Super Bowl. Peyton had serious injuries that had to change his game. Chris Paul hasn't won, and how is he going to change his game significantly? That's going to really make an impact on this team significantly. Like, and the other problem of this whole thing is who's going to spell him? They have no backup point guard. Yeah. If your plan is campaign's going to play more serious minutes, well, you just screwed the pooch. Thanks a lot, Monty. That's not a way to do this.
I don't think it's about specific backup point guards. I think it's about secondary ball handlers. Like the reason why we're seeing Mikal Bridges bring the ball up a little bit more. The guys that he kind of pointed to at the end of last season, like Mikal, Cam, Landry. I know how you feel about that one, but put some of that shot creation and just playmaking on other people's shoulders.
Yeah, I get that. But so you're taking the ball out of Chris Paul's hands to bring it up. You're not going to go to Devin Booker because point book is a failed experiment at this point. So you want Mikal Bridges all of a sudden to have to be the guy that's initiating the offense or campaign. It just seems like you're downgrading what you're trying to do in hopes that trying something different may pay off. You didn't get a backup point guard. You can't spell Chris Paul the way that you need to because you can't bring in a guy or let him sit. So this is just trying to get creative because of a lack of foresight to make the move that you needed on the bench.
Well, on top of that, like they're talking about playing him more off the ball, which is cool in theory. But I mean, running off of screens and I mean, I don't know. Chris Paul to me is a great facilitator, one of the greatest of all time for sure. He's great at the mid-range and getting a bucket at the hoop, for sure. The one thing that his weakest part of his game is the outside shot. The three-point shooting has just not been his MO of late. So if you're talking about playing off the ball and, book penetrating and kicking out, like, that's not necessarily the guy you want shooting all the threes. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. There's just a lot of things that we'll have to see unfold.
Yeah, I don't think the problem's ever been the ball's in Chris Paul's hands.
Yeah.
The problem is he has to play 30-plus minutes because you don't have the right answer. That's the problem. So to Saul's point, great. So he plays on the perimeter. That's not going to help as much. It may take some of the miles off of him, but I don't think that makes your offense better or puts you in a better position later on.
I think Campaign honestly is going to have to play some minutes with that starting five, or is that the other four, at some points in order to spell Chris Paul and really gain some confidence. I just don't see a scenario unless Campaign reverts to the way he was in 2021. I just don't see a scenario where this ends up very well. Chris Paul is going to end up playing 30-plus minutes again. We're going to get to the playoffs, and everything's going to hit the fan again. Like, we got to figure something out.
Okay, well, Chris Paul did say that he is excited about giving up the reins a little bit moving forward, and that this is something they have been talking about for a few years, but the only way to get better at something like this is to actually incorporate it. So my question is, are you buying or selling that he's actually excited and that he will actually follow through on this?
I think he's excited until he's not. Like, game one, in the the Mavs are on a 15-0 run because Campaign's in the lineup. Guess who's coming right back into the game? It's CP3, and guess who's probably not coming out again? It's probably CP3. That's how he's going to approach this. Like, so it's all well and good. You could say the right things and feel the right way, but until you're in the moment and you can honestly sit back and feel like, no, these are growing pains that we're going to have to figure out, which I don't feel like Chris Paul has really shown much, then it's going to be much of the same.
It's October 5th. It's the preseason. And this is like when I say on the first day of a diet, I'm really excited for this journey. And day two, I'm like, damn, that chili and those chips look pretty damn good. And this is Chris Paul saying the right thing. Mm-hmm. This isn't Chris Paul really wanting to sit out there and watch Landry Shamet struggle to initiate the offense or Mikal Bridges struggle to initiate the offense. That, when the rubber hits the road at that time, he's not going to want that. This is Chris Paul, who likes to control every aspect of what's going on around him in a basketball setting. Like, he's not going to be okay with that.
But at some point in time, it kind of does have to happen, right? Because
yeah, when he's retired.
If you don't defer during the regular season, you're not going to be sustained throughout the playoffs. And so if you revert back to your old ways of taking over, coming back in when Campaign drops the ball, then it's just the vicious cycle. You're repeating the same things that you saw the last 2 years. If you don't do this during the regular season, then unless James Jones pulls a rabbit out of his hat come trade deadline and fortifies this team, what else do you have to turn to? Like, this is one of your only options.
You have the same thing that's happened every year of Chris Paul's career.
No bona fide backup.
So, well, for that reason, I'm buying because it needs to happen. Because we don't have any other options, so I'm going to buy.
Look, chat's going wild about SGA. I don't think that's happening this year. Maybe OKC wants to move on next offseason. Maybe that's something then. I still think that realistically, Mike Conley is the kind of name that you're gonna have a shot at, and it's not ideal, but it's better than where you're at, right? If it's a Jay Crowder, Dario Saric, which is salary matching, and hey, we'll throw you a first rounder as well, and you solidify that. That's the kind of move that James Jones is going to be able to make. I don't think he's going to magically land Chris Paul's replacement this season and have him be the ultimate backup to spell Chris Paul this year.
I mean, I see where your head is at, but I do not want Mike Conley.
I'm just saying type of deal.
Well, sure, but he's just...
Would you rather have him or nothing?
He's so old.
Would you rather have him or Campaign?
I don't know. I have to wait to see what kind of campaign we're going to get this year.
We
Because
did-
if we get campaign from the year before, then I'd rather have campaign. But who knows if that's going to happen.
Chris in the chat says Terry Rozier. Okay, that's the caliber. I'm just saying you're not getting the next great Suns point guard. You're getting a guy, if you make a move, that is good enough to be behind Chris Paul, but not the future is my point.
Well, we shall see. But Gerald did write an article over at gophnx.com about all of this. It has more examples, more quotes, more information. So if you'd like to dive deep into this topic, become a member and go read Gerald's articles because they're fantastic. Also, yesterday we told you about the PHNX Sun Devils hockey takeover at Four Peaks. And if you didn't buy your tickets yesterday as a Go PHNX member, well, then you missed out because it's officially sold out.
Sold
in
out.
less than 24 hours.
So quickly. And everyone who snagged a ticket to the takeover that came with a complimentary ticket to the ASU hockey home opener is going to have a blast. And we've got some pretty cool events in the works with our friends over at Four Peaks. And if you want to get first dibs, like the couple of people or the group of people that were able to get first dibs on this event, then you're going to want to become a member at gophnx.com because that gets you first dibs on all of our fun, awesome events like this one.
I'm just going to share this, and I probably shouldn't. You might get mad at me. We're gonna do events at Suns games at some point this year. We're gonna do takeovers. If you get in there, you're gonna get to hang out with us and do this. It's not
That's
just
not the
hockey.
selling point.
Oh no!
Okay.
Well, but it's
You get to watch Suns basketball.
You get to hang out with Lindsay
Yes.
and
Yes.
and watch
Yes.
Suns basketball.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm really looking forward to seeing all the content that comes out of that. And I bet you guys are going to have a blast out there. I also missed out on buying a ticket. So shame on me. But you can pick up some Four Peaks beer and watch the game at home. And at least that makes up for some of the fun you're going to miss out on because the beer is really, really good. But just a reminder, you do have to be 21 years or older, and we ask that you enjoy responsibly.
This just in, beer is really, really good.
No, Four Peaks beer is really, really good.
Yeah, got you. Also,
Just Four Peaks.
when you come out to these events, usually there's a group of us, and why not tab one of us and say, hey, let's do a fantasy draft. And let's jump on Underdog Fantasy because it's fun as hell. I'm going to beat this until it finally happens again, but I murdered Shane, Johnny, and Bo. And I think this is like the 18th time I've said this on this show because they refuse to do another draft with me. And I will keep bringing it up until they face me again and lose their money to me again. But use promo code PHNX when you use Underdog Fantasy, and you will receive $100 up in matching bets. So it's easy. They'll match your first deposit up to $100 is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You talk a big game, but are we going to do this in our pregame shows where we have some, you and I and maybe Lindsay or Gerald won't do it, but maybe Emma gets in on it where we draft for the game that we're playing?
Maybe. You know, listen, that's I'm a little rattled from last year. You know, you started this Jay Crowder's Cash Club. You got me all excited. I was on the train, and then you bounced. And then you never came back. And I was like, well, this isn't fun anymore.
That's because I won my money and I said, I good.
Well, yeah, because you got to pivot if the bets aren't hitting, right?
But the bets were hitting.
No, they stopped for a
Some of them
while.
slowed
They
down
stopped for
a
like a
bit.
couple games, and then they came back, and then they stopped for a couple games, and then they came back. Like, that's betting.
So
Yeah, but you got to try and time the waves, right?
so you're
Isn't that the
ducking
whole
me is what
idea?
you're saying.
No, I've never
Right.
ducked you. I
You
didn't
don't
duck you in
want-
Madden.
Ayo.
I
You don't
didn't
want
duck you in
to-
Madden when I wiped the floor with you, and I'm not
That's
ducking
bad.
you now.
I can't play Xbox. I'm not. I just
My
can't.
thumbs don't work.
But Underdog Fantasy, I can play that app. I can tap that app good.
Oh my God.
Tailgate reference.
Okay.
Tailgate reference. Join us on the show, and you can tap that app too.
Let's keep going with more buying or selling topics. So yesterday we briefly mentioned that Robert Sarver has reportedly hired the bank that will handle the sale of the Suns and the Mercury. And then that CFO of the Suns, Jim Pittman, relayed to team employees that the sale could take 6 to 9 months to be complete. But we're not going to talk about that specifically. We're going to talk about a potential new owner or partial owner. So Shaquille O'Neal came out and said, I'd love to buy the Suns. Unfortunately, Shaq doesn't have the money to buy the Suns, and he knows he cannot compete with one Jeff Bezos, which is a whole nother can of worms. But he said, hey, Jeff, if you're looking for some partners to buy the Suns with, call me. I'm interested. So are you buying or selling Shaq as an NBA owner?
Selling.
Okay.
I don't want any part of it. I think Shaq is a tremendous human being. Does a lot of things for the community. Does a lot of goodwill gestures all over the place. Like, fantastic. But I think Shaq's perspective on NBA players, just gauging off of what I hear him say night after night on NBA on TNT, is way off. And I would not want any part of him being part of an ownership group unless he was like such a minority that he would never have a say in anything.
We've seen the Shaq show in Phoenix. It's all talk and no delivery at this point. I remember him standing in the booth up in the suite and pointing at his ring finger, although it looked like he was pointing at his middle finger, which is what we got in the end from him. Absolutely nothing there. He's all talk. I don't need to see Shaq, especially if it's paired with Jeff Bezos. That's already enough hot air that I'm going to have to deal with that guy. I don't need Shaq in the mix too. No thanks. Like Saul said, I think Shaq does some great philanthropic things. It was always pleasant when I met him, but I don't need him in my ownership group.
If it was like within the contract that Shaq was mostly like a marketing type of person, right? Like, you're part of the ownership group to help our marketing team. We can tap into you to create content and things of that nature. Then I'm buying, because people will still consume Shaq stuff. I mean, he sells out DJ concerts all the time.
Yeah, but that's because he's actively doing something. To be the face of a franchise, he's not that guy anymore. I don't think to me, I don't think Shaq resonates here in the Valley the way you would hope he would.
No, I don't.
I mean, look at Larry Fitzgerald. He was part of the ownership group. That didn't do shit for the Suns.
Yeah, because Larry doesn't want to be a part of anything. Larry wants to be completely behind the scenes.
He's there at every damn game, just about.
Yeah, but he doesn't want to talk to anybody. He doesn't want to be in your content.
Look, if we're talking former players in ownership group, I want to see the Amari Stoudemire's, the Sean Marions, the guys that truly had an impact in Phoenix, that could make it very clear that unlike this ownership group that they currently have, the new owner embraces what this team has meant to the city and all that.
I go with a different lens. I don't really give a shit about past players. I don't give a fuck if you drop a franchise record 70 points in a game, and I love Devin Booker. If you don't have any business sense and you don't have any, if you haven't been in that arena and understand what it really takes to take a franchise from the bottom to the top, then what's the point? What's the point? Like, we're trying to build an ownership group that can take the Suns to a championship level perennially. And so when you look at the Golden State Warriors ownership groups, or some of the other great ownership groups around sports, like, what do they all have in common? And have you taken the time? Yeah, have you taken the time to go out and learn the processes and the way they go about doing things and the way they organize their entire organization? So that's what I want to know from a player. If a player has that kind of thirst, then I'm all for it. Like, again, Michael Jordan, I don't know how many times he saw somebody discombobulate a phenomenal team, but that doesn't make him any better as an owner. And clearly he's struggled for the last decade and a half at being an owner in Charlotte. So I don't know. I feel some kind of way about who would come in. Their basketball acumen has nothing to do with anything, in my opinion.
I think you were meaning, though, more less from an ownership perspective, more that whoever the new owner is, embrace those former players.
Yeah, well,
right?
And if they're minority owners that own like 0.5%, really you're bringing them in just to say we embrace this, and they wanted to put money towards making the Suns good again. Like, I get what you're saying. I want somebody with business acumen at the top that understands how to structure an organization, both on the business side and put the right people on the basketball side to win and willing to spend. But if I'm talking minority owner, like, Shaq was not going to own a significant part of the team. So if I'm just talking about figurehead people to throw out there, I'd much rather have people that meant something to this community rather than Shaq that got traded here because Steve Kerr was impatient and wanted to jettison Sean Marion.
I'm more looking at it from like the initial announcement of the ownership group, right? Because we know that they can add people as they go along, right? Mm-hmm. But the initial announcement, who is that core group of people that they have in that picture, right? Oh, hey, this is the new ownership group. Who is in that photo? Because those are typically the ones that have the biggest portions of the franchise in that photo. So what does that mean? What does that entail? And how does that look? So
here's my prediction. There's no minority owners. Whoever buys this team is buying it outright. Because the names we've heard are the Bezoses of the world, the Lorraine Jobs, who has the money to do it herself. Like, I think whoever's standing on that podium is going to be one person, and is going to be somebody with such deep pockets that, yeah, sure, they'll bring in minority investors, but it's just going to be because, hey, it's nice to have some additional cash that isn't my own involvement.
Also, there's no way, Blue Gold, you want your comments to be read? Here you go. There's no way the NBA is moving this team to Vegas. And whatever owner took over will not have that say when it comes to the league protocol, because the league will first of all, the league's probably going to just open up an expansion in Vegas and in Seattle anyway. Those will probably be the next two destinations. And you're not going to move the Phoenix Suns from a top 10 destination city-wise to some other random ass spot in the US just because. Like, it doesn't make sense. Come on, just stop with that.
And
just
also, a new owner is not going to pay literal, like, top of the top dollar for this franchise that comes with a renovated arena, a brand new practice facility, and then ask to spend the money to move it as well.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not, it's not realistic.
This isn't the Arizona Coyotes, all right? It's not. This is an established team with a home. Like, I hate to say it like that, but if a new owner came with the Coyotes, that's a logical thought that might come up as part of the process.
Yeah, but
With the
again,
Phoenix
it's all
Suns,
up
it
to the
ain't.
NHL. It's not up to the owner.
It's not happening. So even if you're afraid of it, don't worry. They want the expansion fee. That first and foremost is why they'd never let somebody move them to Vegas or Seattle. They want that upwards of $1 billion in an expansion fee they're going to get.
We have a lot of questions in the comments from top to bottom.
On that same topic, Sam said, do you think the NBA should get a team in Vegas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%. And Seattle.
Yep.
The two destinations that they have that have come out as reported options for expansion teams, I think are going to be fantastic.
Seattle should have happened a decade ago. I mean, the second that they moved to OKC, they should have been like, yeah, expansion team in Seattle once this arena is renovated. It's renovated now. Seattle needs to be done immediately, and Vegas just makes sense.
And Phoenix is not a small market.
No, it's not even
quite
close.
Literally not.
What is
so
it, the
just stop.
11th, the top 11 television market in the country?
Yeah.
Like, it's not small.
Okay.
I think it's number 7 overall.
Is it now?
Moving on, more buying and selling topics. Twitter told us that NBA mascots can make up to $625,000. Apparently, Rocky, the Denver Nuggets mascot, makes that much a year. And there were reports that Go at one point made over $200,000. So buying or selling that mascots are worth that much money.
First off, it's total horseshit that Rocky, the Denver Nuggets mascot, is the top paid mascot in the league. There are 5 better mascots at least in the league. So
who? Name them.
So you've got Benny the Bull, hands down a better mascot.
Yeah.
No, you don't like Benny the Bull? You think Rocky's what?
I think Rocky's really good.
Okay.
Benny's great.
Let's make this.
I didn't say I hate him. I just don't think he's as good.
Let's make this clear. No mascot, no glorified furry deserves $625,000 a year. To put it in perspective, Diana Taurasi makes $235,000 a year. There's no way that mascot's worth 2.5 times what Diana Taurasi is.
But that's on the people who are writing the checks. That's their fault.
I don't care what it is, but I don't care what former gymnast or I've known some of the mascots. Great people, not worth $625,000 a year.
I mean, that is a lot of money. That is a lot of money. I will say that it is tough to be a mascot. I've known quite a few of them throughout my career. It's not fun all the time. You got people coming up and yanking on your costume and just being all touchy-feely, like they don't realize there's a person behind it.
Lindsay's worst nightmare.
And then you also have to, like, let's be honest, it's a hard process to clean those suits for a lot of them. So a lot of them smell really bad. Yes, they do. That's their responsibility. What? They have to take it to the cleaners. I thought
their assistant did it.
Sometimes it's 50-50. I've seen both. I've seen both where you have an assistant who does that for you and when you're the actual mascot and you do it yourself. And it never gets smelly clean. At least it always smells.
So
a
wearing
funky.
a smelly uniform is worth $125,000.
No, but I'm just saying it's not all glitz and glamour. That's what I'm saying is you have to be up early for events, work weekends all year. I mean, that's sports in general,
Yeah,
but you get
I did that for $40,000 over there. What's your point?
I'm selling at $625,000 though. That's insane. That is just outrageous.
I can't believe that.
I think the average is somewhere between 60 and 80 though. I think like Rocky is clearly an anomaly.
The Stanford tree, the only one that earns any of that cash.
I don't know.
Huh.
All right. Next up, buy or sell. Today is Grant Hill's birthday. Happy birthday, Grant Hill. And the Suns wished him a happy birthday on Twitter. Are you buying or selling birthday wishes from team accounts to former players who no longer really have any association with your team?
I hate birthday announcements in
Thank
general.
you.
I fucking hate them. I don't understand why teams do it. Nobody gives a shit. They just hit retweet or they hit like just because, but they never engage with the tweet. They never say anything like, oh yeah, happy birthday, Grant. Like on the off chance that Grant's going to be scrolling Twitter and then see something and be like, oh, hey, so-and-so, 1, 2, 3, 4, thank you. Like it never happens. Have you ever seen an athlete ever respond to a birthday wish on social media?
I know two
Some of them.
who responded
The older
verbally
ones.
for not getting one.
Oh, wait, what?
What?
Uh-huh.
Who?
Do tell.
Think of my two favorite players who may have shared
Oh,
a
the
birthday.
Morris?
The Morai freaking yelled at us for not wishing them a happy birthday when we weren't really in the practice of wishing. Like it wasn't the practice like it is now that everybody gets a birthday wish. Like it's cheap engagement and it's stupid. And then they got all butthurt that they didn't get a birthday wish and had to go to the community relations, Chris Mallory, have him come to me and be like, "Hey, why didn't they have a birthday announcement?" It's like, because nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, nobody cares. Also, like you have the Suns that might put that out, and then the NBA will put that out, and then Duke basketball will put it out, and then every other team that Grant Hill played for will put it out. Like, oh my God, stop. Nobody cares.
Shouldn't they be congratulating his parents on that day? Like, shouldn't that the post should be, congratulations to X and Y for giving birth to this amazing athlete.
Wait, X and Y should just be one.
Okay, fine. The mother. Yeah,
well,
sure.
one can't happen without the other.
Yeah, but one's
They
doing a
can.
lot more heavy lifting than the other. Let's
I didn't
be
say
real.
who was doing the heavy lifting. I'm just saying, how the hell did Espo exist? You got to look at both of those parties.
I'd like to consider that my parents never had sex.
Oh my God.
Oh, God. Are you trying to say that you're like the Virgin Mary now? God.
No,
Jesus.
let's move on. Let's move on.
For my mental health is what I
am
meant.
buying if it's sponsored because you know
No.
you
fuck
know that
all
money is
the way.
being made. If from a business perspective, if somebody came to you right now and said, if you wish every single person at PHNX a happy birthday and you put our logo on it, we're gonna give you $50,000, you're gonna say no?
No, I'm going to say yes.
Exactly.
But that
from
shit
a
is so
business perspective, I
But
get it.
first of all,
But
also,
then I wouldn't be like, oh, well, Lindsay was here for 2 years and then she decided to skip town. And then 5 years later, I'm still going to wish
but
her a
also
happy
like
birthday. I don't
that
know
brand has a horrible strategy when it comes to social. If they're like, oh, we'll pay you $50,000 for the worst fucking social media strategy ever.
Okay, but half of them are sponsored. They just are.
So now we've taken something that originally was kind of from the goodness of their heart and engagement baiting, and then went, you know what? Let's just boil it down to its base. Let's just make money off of wishing these people a happy birthday.
Thomas did it. Says Espo talks knowledge for the first few minutes, then goes to crazy town. Espo just declared himself the second Kelly.
That is not what I just said. Mentally, I did not want to take that leap to think about that.
You said it.
I know what I said.
I don't like to think of my parents doing that. I just happened.
I didn't say that. Just don't want to think about it.
The implication.
It's
I really hope my dad's
low-hanging
not
fruit
listening
for
to that.
engagement. It's low-hanging fruit for engagement. I don't know. I'm fine with birthday wishes to legends and current players or members of your staff, right? If we're doing every single player that ever came through for the most part, like
single
it's like
one.
okay,
Okay.
Every single one.
How about this one? I've seen them where they give birthday wishes to coaches who have passed away. I don't get that one either.
Oh, man.
That's just a weird thing.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Go back and look. They're
Yeah, that
there.
happens.
It's weird.
No.
That happens.
Oh,
And-
no.
And if they're
I
going to
don't
do
know.
it,
I don't
how
know,
about all
like,
former employees?
I get it from that perspective, though, because if you lose somebody, you like to share things on
Oh my God.
anniversaries of
I would
things.
lose my mind if the Suns did a tweet. Happy birthday, Espo. I'm like, what?
Happy birthday, Lindsay.
Oh, my God.
Equal representation on the birthday tweets or none.
So basically, there's a birthday tweet every single dang
Yes.
day of the
Yes.
year.
Basically.
If you're going to do it,
We're
do
just
it.
gonna do it.
Basically,
We're gonna do
you're all in or you're all out.
Just like
Oh my
elementary school, where the morning announcements, they wish everybody who's having a birthday, happy birthday. Do it like
All
that.
I'm going to say is if I don't get a birthday tweet this upcoming year from our Twitter account, I'm going to be what Brian just called Espo, a salty bitch.
I am a very
if I don't get a
salty bitch
birthday
today.
tweet this year from our
But, like,
PHNX_Suns
where's-
account,
Where's the
you're
thresh?
going to hear it,
Where's
Espo.
the threshold? Where's the threshold? Like, who makes the cut to get a birthday shout out
Just
in Suns?
Lindsay.
You know what I mean?
Just Lindsay.
So, like, there's just a bunch of people that have used to play for the franchise that you're like, you never hear about them again.
Well, they use the term legend loosely. Think about some of the people they've referred to as legends. So, look, I don't know when Lindsay's birthday is. So, for the next
It's literally
365
the
days,
easiest birthday to
the-
remember ever.
the next
Is it?
365
yes,
days.
it's 420.
Come on.
Oh, that's right.
Now you ruined it because I was going to do for the next 365 days,
Every
day, a happy birthday Lindsay post. God, we went off the rails. I'm
420
sorry
would be-
to everybody.
Will you take an edible on your 420?
Not with you.
Come on, man.
And BK,
I've been
Espo was
at this
him.
for a minute trying to get her to just take some OGs around us because she doesn't want to play our games.
No, I like to be alone. I don't like to be around people.
That's
I like to be alone.
That's always. though.
Listen, when we were getting ready for this show,
Everyone
I
get
was
back in
just
the car.
looking at my compact, putting on some lipstick, and this guy over here, Saul Bookman, just was like stealth mode, snuck up behind me and yelled in my ear and almost made, if I was drinking something or if I was holding water, it would have gone everywhere. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my
I don't need
goodness.
that type of energy if
I
I'm
don't-
hanging out with OGs.
I'd like to apologize to everybody in the valley for driving this car completely off the cliff and then watching it burst into flames.
We'll blame OGs.
No,
Give
Sometimes,
credit to OGs?
sometimes I like to sneak up behind people and be like, I see dead people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
it's
fun.
like never mind.
But don't go there, Espo. I don't know where you're going.
I don't know where.
But I'm going to put the brakes down
As soon
right
as Espo
now.
starts to say something, then he stops and he's like, "Oh, I
That's a
know,
bridge too far."
we went crazy somewhere."
Bridge too
So
far.
speaking of OGs, if you haven't checked them out, highly recommend. They did just launch their brand new Sleep Edition gummy, and these are really cool because it's a 2-to-1 THC to CBN ratio gummy, and CBN is a compound that helps specifically with falling and staying asleep. And this Sleep Edition gummy is in their new aquaberry flavor, which is quite delightful. So highly recommend you check out OGs online at ogsbrands.com. You can find them on Instagram at ogsbrands. And of course, you can find their products at your local dispensary, but you must be 21 years or older to purchase.
I know Espo's going to say something, but real quick, we have been talking about a collab shirt.
collab.
Collab.
Get back
I
in the
like
collab.
collab.
Shirt with
Collab is
OGs, which I think is going to happen. Well, I know it's going to happen, but we're trying to figure out a good slogan. My slogan was "Calm the F down."
Yes.
Like, I think that's just brilliant because I made it up, and also
Did
because
you make it up or did I say it?
no, I said it.
I'm pretty sure I said it first.
No. You would have added
PH.
something beanie wise in there, so no. I
No,
said it, for
literally
sure.
on the show on Monday. Didn't we just say that?
I thought you go back and look at the tape.
We're now 7 minutes without mentioning the Suns. You realize
No,
that?
no,
right?
we're good. We're good.
Fine,
We're good.
fine.
Anyway,
It's okay.
calm the fuck down. But somebody else had a suggestion in the chat
That was
earlier.
Eli.
Eli said we need a PHNX OG shirt collab with some shoes strung over a power line. Absolutely. I love that. I love that. If anybody else, my point is, if anybody else has any other suggestions, let's hear it.
Can I just real quick? We're going to keep going off the rails here. So on Monday, it was Monday when the whole debacle happened,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it was.
So on Monday, when we were finishing the remainder of our show and I did the thing with OGs and whatever, and you made a joke about the shoes hanging from the power line or whatever, and you're like, no, to find those, you got to find a place that has that. I have 3 pairs of Converse hanging from the old phone line in my backyard.
Yeah, you do.
just because I thought it would be fun to do it.
You put him up there?
Yeah. Me and my niece, we all threw the shoes
like,
up.
why are all these people in our
there?
alleyway always?
And I was like, I almost brought it up, and then I was like, this is going downhill real quick for me. Maybe I should pass. But now that we've doubled back to it, I just had to tell you guys that story.
Am I supposed to do an ad here?
Yeah, you want to talk about Game Time?
Yeah, let me talk about Game Time. The Game Time app is the premier place to get your tickets. And I'm not lying. You want to know why?
Tonight, let's go.
If you get tickets right now for the Suns preseason game next Wednesday, as low as $2.
What about tonight?
Well, they're in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's right.
So, if you want to fly there, I'm sure Game Time can get you cheap tickets in Vegas too. But next Wednesday, their next home preseason game, $2. And I looked.
$2.
$2, as low as $2, right?
Wow.
So you can get in there. Maybe we'll have to do something and go out there for $2. But I looked up ASU football, and I'm pretty sure they'll pay you to go to that next game. I'm just kidding. But you can get those cheap as well. Check out the link in our description. Game Time is the only place I get my tickets for sporting events, concerts. Last minute tickets is actually a benefit here. They get great prices last minute. So if you're wondering, hey, what am I going to do tonight? Look it up. There might be a concert that you can go to on the cheap or a sporting event. Check it out. Game Time. Use that link in our description. It helps us out, and it gets you great deals on tickets.
Also, if you're watching here on YouTube, Emma just put it in the chat. So it's super easy. You guys can just click it there, leave it open on another tab, and refer back to it whenever you need to. Okay, we should probably move into
get back
some
in
more
the car.
Suns conversation.
Let's get back on the road.
We've got Suns and Lakers tonight. And before we get into expectations and kind of what we want to see, I think we need to check in with the doctor and just decide, is there anything wrong with us? And if so, is there a possibility that we could get it diagnosed maybe sooner rather than later so that we could really just, kind of get on top of all of this stuff and learn how to manage it more appropriately? So, introducing Dr. Espo.
You forgot the BD.
Oh, my bad.
Basketball doctor, for those of you wondering. Don't go anywhere else.
Well,
All right. Well, I'm here to diagnose some things here. There's some problems, and we gotta fix them, right?
Got a fever.
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. Let's get into it, though. Let's take a look at the first diagnosis here as we look at DeAndre Ayton, and he's got a bad case of the Doncic. All right. He's a guy who has always fallen short of expectations here in Phoenix. It came to a head this summer with the contract stuff, media day, where everybody's like, oh no, DeAndre Ayton looks like a broken man. No, he doesn't smile. Well, I got a prescription for that, DA. Get some noise-canceling headphones, shut out the world and the BS, and go out there and play basketball the way we know you can. That's the only thing that's going to make any of this better. And you got your bag. Now go out there and prove it. It is that simple. What's our next one? Let's put this up. We're diagnosing the bench. The diagnosis is transient player amnesia, as in they've played all over the place and they've forgotten how to play basketball at times, right? That's the reality with this bench. A lot of guys who have been journeymen throughout their career, Campaign being one of the primary ones. Obviously, Landry Shamet has been on 4 teams in 5 years. These guys need to find themselves and remember how to play basketball at a level that can change the game. You need guys like Jacques Landell to learn how to be a piece of this. Dario remembering how to play like he did before the injury. So what's the prescription here? Show up or clear out. That's the prescription here. Either you come to play or you get the hell out of the locker room at this point, because that's going to be where James Jones has to find everything. Next diagnosis for you. It's Monty Williams. The diagnosis is he's got a case of well done is better than well said, right? He's not talking to DeAndre Ayton. That's been a big deal. It sounds like some of the communication in general has been a little all over the place. So it's a simple one. Take a dose of your own medicine. Listen to some of your own sayings. Buy into the guy that you're telling everybody else they should be, and be the bigger man. Mend whatever fence you need to. move on from that crap. All right. And the final one, and I think this is my favorite, the national media, the diagnosis, excessive clickster-baiting. I misread my own joke.
Oh.
Excessive clickster-baiting.
Say what now?
Clickbaiting. All right. Enough with this. Oh, the Suns media day was a morgue and all these kind of things. I didn't get to talk about this last week. That shit upset. What did we expect these guys to act like when media day was the first time that they were asking about a 43-page report where it said the owner of your team was, accused of racism and did awful things to people? Were they supposed to be like super happy and cheery and laughing? No. You had one of your starters from last year say, I don't want to play here anymore, and wasn't at media day. Like, what do we expect from them? Enough media trying to hunt for, the Suns are falling apart, just like they did after Monday's loss. Oh my gosh, haha, the Suns. Yeah. Knock it off. So what is our prescription here? Chill pill, an extra large one, 5 times per day. Knock it off, national media.
We got a super chat from Icon. Thank you for your super chat. It said Monty went from acting like a father figure to acting like mom's new boyfriend real quick when it came to TA.
That's hilarious. I love that.
Oh no.
It's kind of spot on.
And then Brian said, "Oh, that super chat hurts."
Is that why Monty's got the gray beard this year? He's like, he's a different dude. He's like evil Monty now.
That one got me. That was really good.
Evil
Icon.
Monty.
I like that one. So we clearly have a lot of things to work through. But real talk, what do you want to see from the Suns tonight?
I mean, honestly, I obviously I don't want to see them give up, a record-setting 3-point performance, but I don't think you're going to get that from the Lakers anyway. I kind of want to see more of the same. I want to see, them just manage the game. Chris Paul do what he does. I want to see more, consistent assertiveness from DA and Mikal, and a little bit more from Cam. Book is just going to be Book and go out there and just play his game and not force anything. There's no need to. And then I honestly, somebody, I don't care who it is, somebody on the bench, give me something to be hopeful about. And on top of that, Monty, please play more players from the bench so we can see who the hell can do what and have an idea. Yeah, Dwayne Washington needs to get some minutes there. Dwayne Washington absolutely needs to get some minutes. I want to see what he's all about on this team. So hopefully we'll see that.
I need to see a win. Like, I don't believe in preseason must wins, but my God, can you imagine if they go out and get their doors blown off in Vegas by the Lakers?
I mean, but what if it's just a competitive game and they lose?
Okay, if it's like a 2-point loss and it's because fourth quarter it's, scrub versus scrub, fine. But if they lose in bad fashion, the dumpster fire that's going to be Twitter and the national media and everything is going to be exhausting.
I don't think it will be, to be honest with you, because you are playing another NBA team and not some team from Australia. That's a big difference. Like, the reason why the first game drew so much attention is because nobody here before freaking last week heard of the Adelaide 36ers. And they shot a crazy percentage. Like, so if they lose to the Lakers, like, okay, big deal. Even if they lose by 20, like,
I would agree if they had won against the 36ers that it doesn't matter.
The preseason doesn't matter.
I get that, but it's the storyline. I don't want to have to listen to another 3-4 days of national talking heads and panicky Suns fans that the wheels have fallen off. All hell is broken loose. But this team isn't going to make the playoffs.
But you know what you can do? You can just slide this and turn it off.
I can't.
Why?
Because that's not what we can do for our job.
Oh, I do it every night at 9:30.
Remember what EJ said, Espo?
No, I don't remember what EJ said.
So remind him what EJ said.
I forgot what he said.
What he said to me? Stop. Why are you talking to these fools that don't know anything about basketball? What he told me that on Twitter?
That part.
Yeah, I get it, EJ. I get it. All right.
Do you guys care if Monty continues down the path that he did on Sunday of just playing the starters with the starters and just playing the bench with the bench?
Yes, I do care.
It's stupid.
So you want to see a little more staggering?
You need to get guys into rhythm with other guys. Like, you can't just keep throwing the same 5 out there all the time and expecting things to magically work themselves out once you hit game 1. Like, that's not how this works, Monty. I feel like we're just we're saying the obvious, but sometimes with Monty, it just, the obvious seems so simple, and yet he can't pull the trigger to do it. And I'm going to forever reference Aaron Holiday last year when the Suns clearly had nothing going on in 4 out of those last 5 games against the Mavericks. And even being down by 25, he still wouldn't put Aaron Holiday in, even though no other guard was giving him shit off the bench or in the starting lineup. Like, bro, what are you waiting for? Like, just put it out there, see how it goes, and then move along. Like, and he brought so much energy. That's the other thing that kills me. I'm never going to forget the Aaron Holiday days. That's my boy.
What I don't understand is what benefit does it give you to play all these bench guys as one unit when you'll never use it like that in a game of any meaning? So if you want to know what you really have in some of these guys, you got to play them alongside some of the guys that they're actually going to play with to understand that. Jacques Landale looks great when he's in there with 4 other bench guys.
5 other guys. Somebody's always open.
Sometimes that bench looks like they need to play 6 on 5. But I want to know what Jacques Landale does when he's playing a little with Cam Johnson and mixing it with some of the starters. Like, how do these guys act in a real game situation? The whole game in totality might not matter, but 2 or 3 minute stints where you're playing guys in situations they may face in the regular season, that does matter.
If they don't trade Jay Crowder and anybody else for anything significant in return soon, you're about to see either the very best or the very worst of Monty Williams, because he's going to have to coach and manage his lineup to get the most out of this team, because they have some shortcomings on the bench. If he doesn't do that, you're going to see this team be strong for a first half, be strong for 3 quarters, but those crunch time Suns or those clutch Suns, that might be a thing of the past, because you're playing these guys and you're wearing them down as the season goes along. You're like, so I want to see him manage the lineup much better than he showed in game 1. And obviously it's just game 1. It's against the 36ers. Who gives a shit about the preseason? But right now you are playing a Lakers team. They have, they have some dudes on that side like LeBron. And I'd like to see how you manage the lineup against them, because that's who you're going to have to play 5 times this year.
And you can't have clutch time Suns if your bench puts you in a hole, right? You got to be close in a game, and if your bench is causing you all sorts of issues, you're not going to see them either.
Well, we're either going to be very happy or very disappointed tomorrow.
Welcome to hard.
Exactly. That's where we are.
It's here. There's not much we can do about it.
You can watch it on NBA TV tonight at least. So
yeah, that's a positive.
Yeah,
you can actually see it a little bit easier than a lot of the other games out there. But at least we have a great lounge area here in our offices where we can relax, kick our feet up. Literally, the chairs will lay all the way back and watch all of these Suns basketball games that are coming up. And that is all thanks to our friends over at More Furniture. And if you are looking to maybe make your living room a dream Suns basketball viewing space, highly recommend checking out their fall furniture sale over again at morefurniture.com. That's morfurniture.com.
They've got the kind of stuff where your significant other isn't like, why are you buying like these bean bags and all that? No, this is adult furniture that will make a very nice viewing space for your basketball.
But it's just as comfortable, if not more comfortable.
It's more comfortable
than a bean bag. A lot easier to get out of, that's for sure. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you tomorrow and hopefully be able to talk about a really awesome, fun Suns win over the Lakers. But until then, you can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Lindsay Smith AZ, Saul is Saul_Bookman, and Espo is at Espo. Espo, take us home.
Just beat LA. Ahoy, hoy.
Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though, Lindsay, Gerald, Espo. Saw past the ball, we here to turn up the tempo. Got to understand me, I'll always rep the family. Rally in the valley like Dan G, no plan B. Always on the